too long ago, we visited a small Canadian town called Sunpeaks for a catch-up with our friend and vacation rental guru, Matt Landau.
So moving into Operto specifically, we have these two trends that I see as irreversible in the industry right now. The first is the demands of running a great vacation rental management company are increasing.
Yeah.
Based on competition, based on guest expectations, based on trying to juggle all of these tools. Staffing is harder than it's ever been. And I don't see either of those two things changing anytime soon, which makes a really good case for technology as solutions for a lot of these pain points. So Operto has Operto Connect, Operto Guests, and Operto Teams, which is the sort of property care and operations platform. What is the big bet here that Operto is making?
We're laying our bets on in a couple of ways. So one of the biggest pain points for a property manager, especially when you're sort of navigating this technology landscape, is where do I start and what do I actually need? And so for us, we view ourselves as a platform whereby no two properties are the same, no two property managers are the same. So why would any two technology stacks look the same? Where I think, again, maybe some mistakes have been made by the early adopters in this space, or especially the providers, as being like, here's the box, and you got to buy the box, and that's the solution. And if you want to deviate outside the box, that's not really for us. We've taken the completely opposite tack, and we want to become the iOS of IoT for the space, right? So whereby we are the phone, and everyone else is the application. So that if you want monitoring services in your business, whether that is in your property, whether that is noise or smoke or whatever, you can plug that in. If you want pre-arrival check-in verification for the guests and making sure you know who the guests are, just to protect your asset, we can layer that in as well. So we end up with very different looking technology stacks for every one of our customers, because I think we've done a really good job realizing that is important that we sell consultatively, and that we don't treat every customer like the next customer, because they aren't.
So being a platform, what is your definition of platform? Because I think when I hear platform, I think a property management software could be a platform. Could it?
Yeah.
I think really any tool that gives other tools the chance to plug in so that the user is really only signing into one basic tool, I view that as a platform. How do you define a platform as Operto's perspective?
Yeah, I think, not too far off of that. I think you've got an end user. So if you can compare two different things. So from the property manager's perspective, they want to have one source of truth, one place where they can literally log in and have one window browser open and just be watching what's happening on their properties, plural. So whether they've got one property, 50 properties, 100 properties, Operto can give them a unified look at everything that's going on in their world, versus having 9 different things in your technology stack and 9 different browsers open, right? And that's not a platform. That is plugging a bunch of stuff in and then leaving it up to the end user to navigate their way through that. We want to make sure that it's simple for the property manager to access technology and to embrace technology in the simplest way possible. And I think that, when you look at a brand like Apple, I think that they've done an incredible job making technology accessible, because we realize that the end user is not necessarily the most digitally native user out there, right? We've got a lot of folks that didn't grow up on the internet, that aren't used to running critical pieces of their business online. And so we want to take those frustration points out and ensure that we're building solutions whereby they can come to one platform and everything that they plug in just works. And I think that that's everything we strive for as a company. And I believe that that's the right way to be approaching this challenge.
Mm-hmm. As I've begun to sort of unpack the phases of a guest's journey from first discovering a vacation rental property, maybe it's on a listing site, inquiring, communicating with the owner or the manager, Finding that there is some trust there, or in other cases not. Finding that there is professionalism there, in other cases not. It leads up to this sort of zero moment of truth.
Yeah.
And that is when they are getting ready to enter the home.
Right.
They're putting their hand on a lock, on a doorknob,
Yeah.
for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Do you view this moment equally as consequential?
It is the only moment.
Because if it doesn't work,
I mean, at the end of the day, you can have as much fancy stuff happening inside your house, outside your house, amenities, everything, all of it. But if the guest can't get in the door, the vacation or the stay does not start. And, you know, it is, to me, it's the nucleus moment of the entire stay, ensuring that the guest can access the property. So that's kind of where Operto started, right? Operto is the Italian verb to open, right? So that is our core fundamental value proposition. But once the guest is inside the property, now what, right? There's a lot more magic to be created for the guest beyond just the opening the door moment. And there's also a lot more magic for the property owner in terms of managing their and protecting their asset as well once they're inside the property. So we have moved on as a company. We said, you know what? We are the best in the business at getting you into the property. And I think that we've done a really good job ensuring that we always, that our customers can trust that moment, that Operto delivers that moment. And now we've started to build on tools so that we're much more than just that moment. We've got guest applications that ensure that the guest can properly, they know what's going on on the property, in the town. They can be almost cross-sold and upsold to, so they can access mountain bikes and they can access ATVs and whatever they want to do while they're staying at your property, which adds guest magic, which ultimately leads to the 5-star review, right? So, and then obviously the worst part of it is when the guest leaves is how do you get the cleaner in, right? What about the operations? What has someone put their foot through the wall? Is there broken glass? Is the dishwasher not working? And so for us, again, we wanted to create this ecosystem where we could tie the moment from the moment you book to the moment you leave and everything in between. We either build it ourselves or we work with partners to plug it into our platform. And so when you work with Operto, you're seeing a unified guest journey. But sometimes it's us using partners to leverage their technology because that's what they're really good at. And we don't pretend for a moment to be the best at everything, but we know how to tie the best people into that stack to ensure that we deliver that guest experience.
And do you follow like direct consumer stuff
Yeah.
on Amazon? Do you think that vacation rentals, short-term rentals are different in a sense? Because like on Amazon, I'm buying a product that was made by a small business somewhere, and I can go back to Amazon and buy it again, or I can go directly to the company and buy it. But in the case of vacation rental, a guest is literally coming into my home and staying there for several days. I have the chance to interact with them. Does that open up all these new opportunities to retain?
Unbelievably so. So we want to ensure that the guest journey, again, from that moment that they book, that we're getting our hosts in touch with the guest, right? So again, when you work with Operto, within seconds, we've got a web app that will load for the guest, and now they can start to learn about, there's a fireplace, and this is how you turn on the gas fireplace. This is where all the things are inside the house, so that they start to get familiar with the property even before they've arrived. What we find is that not only does that make the guests happier, it also increases retention rates. Okay, it decreases cancellation rates, and it also ensures that you get that really good review at the end of the stay. So, again, it's there's so much magic to be had, but it's about the communication with the guests and ensuring that they know that there's also a human on the other side of this transaction, and you're coming into their space, and they want to make sure that you're having an amazing time.
So then the idea of the platform is that if you don't have a platform like that, all these independent pieces, stuff's potentially falling through the cracks.
100%. So you have a messaging solution. Is that messaging solution talking to your PMS? Is that talking to how is that communication flow actually working. And then once the guest says, okay, I'm looking to do A, B, C, D, E, even before they arrive, how do you ensure that you can almost pre-book all those activities and then charge them before they've come? So they've literally filled their itinerary of mountain biking and ATV, and I'm going to go hiking and biking and doing all the things that they want to do as a family or as an individual. We can solve all that before they've even arrived. And so I think, again, just driving guest happiness, ensuring that they go, wow, I feel like I'm really being taken care of. But that's all technology, right? That's not the human element yet, but it's special.
I think when I first reached out, or maybe soon after I first reached out to you, I shared this epiphany that I had, which is, if this most pivotal moment of retaining a guest for future repeat and referral bookings, which is the holy grail in our business, and truly independent business that doesn't depend on any of these OTAs, if the whole secret to that takes place in the home, and that is the new marketing, and you don't have a comprehensive solution for that, like this big bet that you say you're making, you potentially don't have the core. Like, I've always previously thought a property management software was the core of a strong vacation rental management company, but I'm starting to think maybe this is the one step higher.
It is. Yeah. Remember that most, while the property managers might be, an older demographic, a lot of the folks who are accessing vacation rental, short-term rental pool now are digitally native, right? So there's a certain level of expectation around tech. I don't want to have to go to the local laundromat and talk to the guy, and he's going to pull the key out from the, or check under the mat or in a lockbox, and guess what? The last guest forgot to put the key back. There's so much room for human error, and also just unnecessary friction points in the guest journey that we are trying to smooth out all the time. I think that there's a certain level of expectation also, because a lot of traditional hotel guests are now dipping their toe in the pool of short-term rentals, right? And they're going, oh, this is interesting. I think we saw a lot of it during COVID, especially, like people wanting a safer stay, not wanting to necessarily go to a hotel where there's more people and crowdingness and stuff. But there's a level of expectation for sure of someone who traditionally would stay in a hotel and now they're trying to short-term rentals. Well, if the short-term rental operator is not operating at least at that kind of level of guest expectation, that's, I think, where we run into a lot of challenges.